What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning into the first episode of the official Roush Performance Podcast. You don't know Jack. We're your source for all the behind-the-scenes info on motorsports, our brand, automotive culture, and sneak peeks into our latest projects and products. Our show will feature a range of guests from our Roush friends and family to your favorite names in automotive culture and some of the minds behind the best tech and engineering in the industry. For our inaugural episode, we've brought in a few of our friends from all different aspects of motorsports to give you an inside look at the current state of our industry and the toll that the events of 2020 have taken on all of us. And well, we will cover the future of motorsports, live events, and what each of our guests have in store for the year. Tonight, in the true Roush fashion, everyone here shares the same passion for Roush performance and power. We've got our very own Jack Roush Jr., VP of Marketing here at Roush Performance, Texas Dave, owner of Rally Ready Driving School, youngest dude to ever win Pikes Peak 3 times in a row, and 2019 Baja 500 class champion. We've also got Aaron Kaufman, world-renowned builder, TV star, and multifaceted driver, racing in many of your favorite series. And finally, our founders have deep ties in aviation, so to mix it up a bit, we brought in our friend Rob Holland, one of the world's best and most decorated aerobatic pilots in the world. What is going on, guys?
Howdy.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Thanks for having us on You Don't Know Jack. And so, what's on everybody's mind?
Well, they don't know.
I don't know Jack. I don't know what I don't know. That's the problem.
You don't
Jack,
know me.
What do we need to know about you?
This wasn't to tell you, but just to say you don't know me.
Right. That's it.
And that's a wrap.
That's it.
I like it, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Is there a gift basket, or how do we do this?
No.
Shit. Oh, whoops.
I was told
Already blew it. Now we're going to have to edit it.
All right, guys. Well, starting off, as you guys know, it's been such a crazy year with 2020. It was definitely something that none of us could prepare for, and it's made some really big challenges here in the motorsports, and it's affected all of us differently. Rob, you're in the aerobatic motorsports. Why don't you tell us how 2020 affected you, and how did you have to maybe tweak some plans, changes? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was pretty rough. I mean, basically there wasn't a 2020. Like myself, I fly about 24, 25 air shows a year. I had 24 of them scheduled last year, 23 of them canceled, so I only did one. So it just reverted to other things within my industry, just try to, pay the bills and get by. But it's pretty rough year for the industry. Going into 21, it's looking a lot better, but there's still going to be quite a few adjustments made to make it work.
All right, Rob. So going back, so with 2020, obviously cutting the season, would you say in half?
Oh no, it almost didn't exist. I was scheduled for 24 shows and I did one. So
wow.
Yeah,
that's tough. Where was that show at?
It was in Stewart, Florida.
Wow. And I guess preparing for something like that, I mean, typically you're obviously probably flying each week, so your body, everything's used to it. What's it like going out and just going straight into an event?
It's rough. I mean, typically I do about 300 hours a year in my airplane. Last year I did 65. So, most of that was just trying to stay current in it. And then a couple weeks before that actual show, practicing a lot just to get ready. But yeah, definitely wasn't my best performance.
Wow. And I found one note on you here that you've flown over 180 aircrafts. Is that still accurate?
Yeah, different types of aircraft, yeah.
Wow. What's the most extreme aircraft that you've flown?
Oh, man. I fly whatever I can get my hands on. I mean, I've flown everything from Hyper Cubs to aerobatic airplanes to corporate aircraft. I've been in a few fighters, so it's been a lot of fun.
And if you can just choose one, you only can choose one to fly, what would it be?
I don't know if I can. Probably my airplane. Yeah, my MXS. It's a great airplane. It allows me to do what I do, so.
Yeah, no, definitely. Tell us a little bit about it. What is it equipped with, and what is it used for, essentially?
It's all carbon fiber. It's pretty light. It's about 1,200 pounds. It's got about 380 horsepower. And it's meant specifically for aerobatics. I mean, if I can think of it, the airplane will probably do it. And it's an amazing machine. It's not very comfortable going cross country, but for aerobatics, it's great.
That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, Aaron, 2020. Tell me about it.
You know, for us, we had kind of stepped off in some new things. Like we were trying some new stuff. We picked up Dean Carney's a drift driver here in the U.S. from Ireland originally, and so we were kind of taking over his operation, and we're going to run FD last year, which we did. But we had a lot of issues, like because as soon as we got here and started prepping the car and got ready, obviously, 2020 and all the complications came to fruition. And so every week it was a new schedule. We're not going to do it. We are going to do it. All right, we're going to do it, but like this. All right, not like that, like maybe like this. And so every time we turned around, every time we made a plan, we threw that in the garbage, came up with a new one. And it's about the time that we go, oh, to hell with it. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. Then all of a sudden there's a schedule. But then every place we go has different restrictions, different problems, traveling, moving people across the country all became issues. So all the things we take for granted, like when you go like, oh, going racing is difficult, now just triple the amount of difficulties in that, and that was 2020. And then on top of that, about a third of my operational income is from going and doing car shows and out seeing and meeting people and, having this automotive experience with people. Well, that was pretty much hard cut off. It's just like with Rob losing 23 of his 24 shows. Pretty much everything I had on the calendar all got cut off. And so as anyone that runs a small business can imagine, it's like we were now underfunded just to get through the year and tried to keep everybody on as best as we could, but it's like sink the ship or make changes. And so it was a combination of putting holes in the boat and making changes that weren't comfortable. But we were able to get some racing done last year in 2020 in FD. I managed with Life, I managed to race the first production 2021 Sierra RX3 at Pikes Peak and able to go to Super Lap. So I still managed to get some stuff done. We had much bigger plans, but I imagine like everybody else, what you thought you had planned for 2020, wadded up, throw it in the garbage, and whatever you could pull out was what we all got. And I think that here at ArcLight, it's like we kind of experienced that. I mean, like that's exactly it. Everything we wanted was gone, and we were happy to take what we could get. And just a sad state of affairs. But I'd like to say we learned something from it, but I'm still too angry to evaluate any educational material or value from it.
There goes my my next question then. So, because you're absolutely right. I think we've seen the same challenges at Roush Performance, and it's there's a lot that we're learning from it. But it's frustrating because we enjoy going out to the shows. I know Jack and I spent a lot of time with our Roush Road crew going around, meeting people, shaking hands. So it was definitely a big change for us, and I can definitely see how it affected your industry. Dave, it looks like you took on a new hobby. Is that collecting Hot Wheels during 2020?
That was it, man. I don't know what 2020 is. Never heard of it. Blocked it out. My therapist told me I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I just started, at 87 cents a pop. I figured I could probably afford more of those than real race cars. So we just started letting them rip. Man, 2020 for us was really unique. We've been in business for about a decade. We're a small team of about 8 of us here at our rally school just outside of Austin. And we started the year off weird, man. It was like, this is it. I think like everybody, it was just that every single person in every business that I spoke to was like, 2020 was our year. And not just that January 1st, I'm going to go to the gym every day and get my beach bod by, June optimism. But like really there was just so much momentum in every industry, in every category, ourselves included. And, we got some pretty early peaks because we had a big event that was coming up here in March, and it was with a motorcycle company in Italy that most of their employees lived in Switzerland on the border, and they were manufacturing their machines in Taiwan. So they were supposed to ship all these machines over. So come March, we find out they're like, "Ooh, that whole thing that's happening, it's killed our factory." So then they said, "Oh, now we can't get people to work." And so we started seeing this in early February, and we were kind of like, "Uh-oh." So we started sort of planning to batten down the hatches, but it still blindsided us like everybody. And we have a 140-acre ranch here that's built for people to learn how to slide rally cars around and drive, Ford Raptors and pre-runners. And I think the fear for us, like everybody, was, is anyone going to show up ever again? Is this it? Are we going into this post-apocalyptic science fiction future where people just don't do these things anymore? And I think the quickest realization for us was that for the majority of our clients, what they spend here on driving race cars or doing something they really enjoy for the weekend, this is a warm chocolate chip cookie. And regardless of how hard the world gets, you still want a warm chocolate chip cookie. You may scale it back, you may scale it up, you may still, you may spend $500,000 a season on racing, you may spend $5 million, you may, whatever it is. Though people still want to connect with this, because above all else, the bottom line is we're all here, because our love of cars is what brings us together. Our love of automotive, the automotive industry, the aftermarket, performance aftermarket, that's the common thread. And it transcends the cars. And so as long as we continue to offer a space that was safe for people to be a part of that community, people are going to show up. So for us, the biggest pivot was, how do we get our instructors out of the cars, and how do we continue to offer the same level of quality instruction, but without having somebody sitting next to them the whole time. So for us, we tried some new tech. We tried some sort of zero latency video streaming in the cars at the school. It's kind of like, honestly, we can see what's happening, eyes, hands, and feet from outside the car with some handheld radios. So we just sort of pivoted to what is sort of more of a sports car racing coaching model. And we cut back our group classes down to private training. We just started offering a lot of one-on-one training. And our ability to develop really intimate connections with our clients was the biggest takeaway for us from 2020. We went from being almost 80% fly-in clients from all over the country and all over the world to being like 95% local. And so the relationships we've built with clients in the past year has completely transformed, the way that we do business. And it's been really, really special for us. It was scary and it was hard. But again, what do you do? You're going to complain about it, or are you going to figure out a solution? So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think if anyone's like me, and I think we're all feeling it, it's like we're all inside. We just want to get out and do something. And I can guarantee what better way to get out and go freaking out to your track and start jumping trucks and having fun. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are going to sign up for that. So
we hope so. Be happy to have them.
No, absolutely. Jack, I think you and I have both seen some similar challenges on the Roush performance end, but from your eyes, I mean, what was the biggest thing that you think changed the whole aspect of our company, really, in some ways?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's also a really big question. I think 2020, I don't know, just to take a step back. So, I've had many different roles at Roush Performance, and early last year, I took over as VP of Marketing at Roush Performance. I've been involved in the tech side of the company, product development, and other stuff, but there's a need to fill that gap, and I was eager to help out and craft that vision there. Right about the time that happened, the pandemic hit, and it took me a few weeks to realize that wasn't entirely my fault, but we went through a lot early on, like everyone. We didn't know what was going to happen, kind of like Dave was saying, and we had an epiphany. NASCAR was doing their esports stuff. Everyone was locked down at the time. There was no sports at all, and NASCAR at the time, at this really dark time, was kind of a shining light. They were doing stuff that people could watch, and it was video games. It wasn't the real thing for racing, but it got people excited. And Trevor, you remember, you're a major part of it. We talked about it, and we're like, why don't we do that? I think we can actually create something that gets people excited, and they don't have to go out, and it's we don't have to pay for wrecked race cars. It's kind of easy. And we went on this adventure through last year with our esports stuff, and I'm a real race car driver. I'm not a sim driver. I'm getting better at it, but it's it's a little frustrating because it's not quite the same, but it's a lot of fun, and I like the challenge of learning new things and getting beaten up a little bit and then overcoming it. So it's been a lot of fun. I don't think it'll take over by any means what we do, but I think it will remain as something interesting and fun.
No, absolutely. And yeah, to that point of challenges, like that was a challenge just for our team. I mean, yeah, we're generally marketing and I work on the dealer development side, and it was next thing it was like, well, here, esports. And then we didn't realize how technical it was. It's like, oh man, these computers and this coding, and you got to figure out timing and how do we put together a show. So no, absolutely, I think it was a huge challenge, and I think we definitely hit the nail right on the head. And so yeah, we're getting ready to kick off our next series, the Roush Mustang series, which kicks off, I believe, next week, Jack?
Yep.
Next week. So we're going to be ripping around the V8 Mustang supercar, going across 8 different tracks all across the U.S. And it's going to be a blast because it's so funny because, I think, what was that? Oh,
my computer stopped. We were all done.
Signing out. But yeah, the esports, like it's wild to see the connection and what it's done in just the esport world of all these drivers. So you have your sim drivers, we have our pro drivers, and they're all getting together in these virtual digital rooms that we can all talk to. And it's what the greatest part I think about it that is the takeaway here is there was still that same feeling that you get when Aaron, when you go to those car shows and meet everyone, and Rob, when you go to the events and shake hands with people, and Dave, when you're able to teach these people how to drive, that passion and fun and excitement that happens at these events, we were actually capturing and making happen right here in these digital rooms.
So now that you're done paying bills with iSports or esports, it's like, do you actually believe that your connectivity, the connection you made with other drivers in these environments was as authentic and as real as it is in person? I mean, you're hamming it up, but you tell me, are you really thought you had the same experience?
No, it's definitely not the yeah.
I don't think it'll replace it.
No.
By any
I
means.
don't either. It's the reason I asked.
Yeah.
I do think though there's a whole generation. I'm here because I picked up a video game controller at my buddy's house when I was 14 years old, and I was like, I don't know what a rally car is, but the rest of my life is ruined, and I was correct. And I think what we see now is there's an accessibility to bring people into the sport in a way that we never could in the past. In the way that there was no way to know. The greatest racing driver on planet Earth is somewhere sitting, in his mom's basement hanging out, and we're probably never going to find him. And now what esports is doing is creating accessibility to that, which in the long run I believe is great because it's offering the opportunity for young people who may not have the financial means or the socioeconomic means to be engaged in our industry. It's offering them the chance to say, hey, I may not have all of the skills of a real racing driver, but the hands, eyes, and feet, which are the 3 most important things that we look at, I can do all that stuff. Don't know what it'll translate to in real life, but at least this core essential piece, I might have it, and it gives us the ability to cull through those people in a really easy way and bring them in, and next thing you know, maybe they're in a Roush, race car.
Yeah, no,
when we talk about culture and we talk about the industry, the sim driving, digital aspects of it, we're only talking about one part of it. That is the part behind the wheel. And to say that this whole industry, motorsport, is occupied by exclusively drivers is short-sighted, to say the least. So it's everything from team managers, track managers, mechanics, engineers, fabricators, on and on and on, support staff. And it's like all these people, there is no digital equivalent to going to an event. There's no digital equivalent to prepping a car. And so it's like, so we're really only hamming up and fostering one aspect. And granted, it's the highest entry point, the most expensive entry point into the industry is getting behind the wheel. So it's offsetting that, and that's nice. But like, it's not getting builders together. It's not getting engineers together. It's not fostering any other part of car appreciation, motorsport appreciation. No other part of the industry is being serviced by that. Sure, you can jump on a blog and you can have a conversation. You might be able to get on and do something digitally where you can see each other, but it's different than working on the car with someone, chopping it up, and really actually getting hands-on. And so in my opinion, there is zero that replaces that. From a driver education standpoint, I do think it's a valuable tool, and I do think it allows people to get a good feel for it because the point of entry is so high to get into a car. So I appreciate that, but the rest of the industry is completely left out of it. And if everyone thinks that driving a computer is better than driving a real car, there's no hope for the industry because you don't have to make aftermarket automotive parts to drive a computer.
Absolutely.
Gotta make graphics cards.
It's funny. I started using iRacing probably about back in 2006, and it was not to race online. It was purely as a learning tool to learn all these new tracks that I was going to, and honestly, it was a great tool. I tried not to do it too much because I didn't want to have it mess up my sense of really how to drive. But, it was fun getting into it and, being pushed to do more of it and go to tracks, from all around the world that I may never see in person. But I don't know about you guys, but last spring, all that was going on. And once up in Michigan, we have a lot of salt. So every spring, you'll wait till it rains a few times and it's not going to freeze again. And then you get out your fun cars. And through COVID, again, this is kind of bringing up bad memories of how bad it was. But, I don't think I ever felt so good sitting in my Mustang before. And, I really, appreciated going on drives and more than I have in many years. I don't know.
And
I think
the one unique benefit of the COVID era was the fact that initially there were very few cars on the roads, so you kind of had all of it to yourself.
right.
Yeah, I live at a 7-mile rally course and racetrack. So when people stopped coming, I was like, all right, whatever, lock the gate, throw away the key, and I guess I just have all these things to play with myself. So there was that magical moment for me too in that way, because building this business for the past decade, I rarely drive anymore. As you know, Jack, especially, it's like you're so engaged in the day-to-day business stuff, and Aaron and I've talked about this a ton. It's like we get into this industry for this core passion. And over time, we find ourselves running a business, and you drift away from some of that stuff, and it's tough, it's scary, and I think that was one of the big takeaways for me is sitting here early in COVID was like, man, what the hell are we doing? What's the plan? Like, we tried everything, but ultimately, I ended up getting back in a rally car for the first time in a decade last year. I basically walked away from driving rally cars and just to build this business. And like you said, Jack, that feeling of getting back behind the wheel, whether it was in your street car or the race car, or in my case, at a rally, it's just, again, we're, to your point, Aaron, I don't think anybody's advocating that esports is a great replacement for race cars so much as it's a mediocre silver lining for what was otherwise a massive disparity and heartbreak of a year. And I think similarly, that's how I felt getting back in a car. It was like, does racing feel good? Absolutely. But does getting in a race car in the middle of what it was just this complete, mind eraser of an unknown after however many months of sitting on the sidelines wondering if things would ever happen again, man, that was like, I can get the goosebumps just thinking about it. There's no hit quite like it.
Right. I could be wrong, but I think through all this, I think people appreciate, getting out and having time with their cars, or maybe for some people it's mountain climbing or whatever it is. I think it really has been a time to reflect on how important that is and to make it a point to go out and do it.
Totally, and I think it's wild. You go to a dealership, you can't get most of the vehicles you want now because they're all gone, and the supply chains have been so affected in every industry, ours included. It's just if it's not microchips, it's tires. If it's not tires, it's hubs or wheels or some part of that. And I know we were affected, and I'm curious if you guys experienced the same thing at Roush.
No, absolutely. I think especially, on the vehicle end, I mean, a lot of dealers are, you're absolutely right. You drive by a dealership, you don't see trucks, you don't see SUVs. And one of our top selling, like our Roush F-150, is a top selling vehicle. And I mean, dealers are not able to get a stock F-150 anymore. So because they're only now allocated so much. So one nice perk of it is essentially we're going to be able to see more Roush vehicles on these lots because we obviously have the allocations for them. But it's really tough. I actually travel around to many of our Roush dealers, and it's kind of sad though at the same time. I mean, there's no more getting deals on vehicles right here at the moment. I'll tell you that. I mean,
There's not much getting a deal on anything right now. It's like, whether it's a trailer, it's steel, it's aluminum, it's like tungsten gas for the welders. I mean, everything's at an absolute premium right now. And so ultimately, as manufacturing costs go up, so do the final product. And we're going to see that. And I really, it's like, I don't believe that it's going to come back to prices that we saw in 19. I think that we're kind of looking across the board anywhere from 20 to 25% increases, even after this initial, supply and demand upset is kind of over. And so it's just, I think that we're living through an evolution of the industry currently, not one that I favor, but ultimately we're going to have to get used to it.
No, absolutely.
Agree.
Well, there's one good thing coming out of 2020 here, and that was that it gave us more time to spend in the garage, working on maybe things, catching up on certain projects. Aaron, what did you work on? Was there anything that you put a lot more time to that typically
Sitting in the galley in the shop, bitching about the situation in general. We devoted about 9 hours a day to that, and maybe 30 or 40 minutes to real work. But the, you know,
I don't think our numbers are different from your normal numbers, Aaron.
Yeah, so we had the race car, the FD car here with Dean, and so always keeping it, you know, it always needed maintenance and spares and parts built for it. We had a long-term project here that really could have gotten a little further, but we, you know, between just the depression of the situation, we didn't know what next month was going to be like. It's like we didn't know how far our money was going to go, and so to be honest, I mean, like, I probably could have made more ground in my business personally, but being so upset and aggravated with the situation and everything that I do to make money really kind of got taken away. And it's like we could build more, but we're dealing with supply chain problems, cost problems, and then it's like I've got a bunch of vehicles, we've got a bunch of projects, and so they all got worked on, but like we kind of went to the shop, locked the door, and kind of pretended like nothing happened, but it's not like anything miraculous happened in here. We just bumped along at pretty much the same speed, minus getting material and getting parts, because a lot of the people that we get material from, there would be one window we'd have to schedule, and then our whole day would be planned around getting those parts exclusively, rather than it's just something we do after or before lunch. It was now Tuesday is dedicated to doing that. And so we really saw a reduction in capability because we had to focus so much on every little thing. Picking up a couple AN fittings was a task. You know, picking up steel was a task. So that was an effort.
No, absolutely. I mean, man, that's tough though. But Rob, what about you? What have you? Is there more leisurely flying, or what have you been up to?
I'm doing a lot of actually aerobatic coaching. So going around the country and sitting on the ground at the radio, watching other people fly and telling them what they're doing right or wrong, trying to improve their skills. And as far as my airplane goes, I brought it to Arkansas. It's all in pieces right now, getting repainted for the next season. So that doesn't happen that often, but there's plenty of downtime to get it done. So that's getting done now. But not a lot of flying. Like I said, I usually do 400 hours a year, and I did 65 hours last year. So a lot of sitting around.
Hey man, you want to come out and I'll show you how to drive, and I'll coach you on a radio, and then you put me in that plane and you coach me on the radio, and the odds are good that we'll both be fine. I took like an hour of ground school once, so like don't even worry about it, man. I'll get one of them flight simulators. I'll be dialed in.
Don't worry, Dave. You will land. It's just a matter of how.
Yeah,
with what velocity?
Yeah, y'all got them ejector seats in there? That'd be sweet, man. Oh, snap.
Insurance is
Dave,
for
what
it.
are you working on? Any projects?
Last year was killer. We just from the project standpoint, in 2018, I was on Craigslist, as one does, looking for airplane hangars. So I bought an old World War II Bergstrom Air Force Base hangar. So the International Airport in Austin used to be an Air Force base. They shut it down in '93, and most of the old hangars got disassembled and moved into art studios or whatever. I happened to find one some guy had in a field. It's a big 60 by 90, so there's big 90-foot steel trusses. It's all like quarter-inch, steel from the 30s. And we moved it out here 2 years ago from one dude's field, stuck it in our field, and then we're like, yeah, we'll get around to it someday. Poured a slab in 19, and then again, it got hot, so we didn't do anything for a while. So when COVID sort of took over, we were like, oh, maybe we should put some screws in this thing. So we built this giant hangar. Me and, 4 dudes who had no idea what we were doing, but 16 holes on one piece and 16 holes on another. I figured you just put as many Ogadogas as it'll take, and hadn't fallen down yet. So we built a workshop, which really revolutionized our business, because we bought an old cattle ranch, and we'd basically been running a 25-car fleet out of a 3-car garage for 5 years. And so now we're in a 6,000 square foot workshop with, nice white epoxied floors that are never white. And we've got it's given us the ability to build a lot of client race cars. Got a lot of friends and folks now who come in and are like, oh, what are you guys doing over there? Well, can you build me one? So, so that's changed. We're building a lot more race cars. And we partnered up with our good buddy, Bucky Lassick. We like to call him Lucky Basket from Tommy Hawk's Pro Skatester. But he was a professional driver for Subaru for a number of years. And so he's driving with us, and we've built an arrive and drive program. So now we've got kind of the last missing link. You you can, watch a Gymkhana video or see, a rally video and say, I want to do that. You come here, we'll train you. You can join us for a membership, come every weekend, and then you can come racing with me and Bucky at our new rally team. So, yeah, and I planted a bunch of trees last week. That was pretty great. I don't know, life's good, man.
Doing your part. There you go. That's awesome. Any racing? Did you do any like rally driving or anything during this time?
I did, yeah. I got my first taste back in the seat last year. We'd been prepping 4 cars, and we were like 2 days away from leaving when they canceled the event and then canceled Earth for a little while. And so, we got those cars done. Bucky and I went and did sort of knocked the rust off last year at Rally Colorado. Had an amazing time. It's an amazing event. I did one more event end of the year at Olympus. And we're running as much of the championship as we can this year in the ARA, American Rally Series. We're sort of on the, we run as many events as American Express will let us. So, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 events. And then Yokohama Tires put together a program for us to race the One Lap of America with Subaru. So Bucky and I will be in car at One Lap of America. Looking forward to that. Never done that before, but, we'll see. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Talk us through rally racing. I mean, like, I feel like there's certain series that can be kind of predictable as far as driving, but like you guys ripping through like woods, trees on both sides, people on both sides. I mean, obviously all racing you have to really, really focus, but I feel like there's so many elements that you are dealing with elevation, terrain, people, everything. Yeah. I mean, kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, the oldest, eye rolling. If you're a rally person, you roll your eyes because this, everybody's heard this one a million times. But they say a road racer or a sports car racer sees the same corner 1,000 times, and a rally driver sees 1,000 corners once. And so for us, what the real magic of rallying is, if you think about most forms of racing, you go and you learn the track and you learn the car and you build your program. And there's a ton of dynamic variables, of course, but you're still going out and you're learning a track. There's a pretty known behavior as far as the tires go. Track temperature. I mean, like, one of our guys used to work at Audi on their Le Mans team, and it's like, look, Sebring at ambient temperature 82 with a Michelin P2C on, Tom Christensen in a R18 is going to produce a lap time of X. In rallying, it's a lot more abstract. Every single corner you go through, you're radiusing off the sharp square edge of your rally tire, and the softer that gets, the more the handling changes. So, we always say that race car driving is science and rally driving is art. So, we teach you here how to mix paint, hold a brush, stretch a canvas on an easel, and it's up to you to make your own art. Don't make it look like mine because I can't paint to save my life. But that's why we really believe that rally driving is sort of the best place fundamentally, because it teaches you car control beyond the limit. So it teaches you how to get the car into, outside of your comfort zone and past the point of no return, manage that both emotionally, mentally, and then physically. So you can take those skills and apply them to anything, whether it's off-road, if it's rally, sports car racing, autocross, whatever creams you corn, as they like to say. But, and then you throw into that the variable of the fact that you've got a navigator or a co-driver next to you who's yelling gibberish at you that you have to translate into something. So you're coming over a blind corner and they tell you it's a flat out left. You just keep it in 6th gear and hope they're right. And if they're wrong, well, you're going to meet your maker. So that's that.
What's like a funny story about just a funny story at rally racing?
Oh,
yeah, pull that one down.
How long do you have? We can go to Finland for some good stories, or if you'd like some French stories, we can bring these in for you. There's endless amounts, but I think one of my favorite stories of all time isn't even rallying. It's me and Aaron at the Baja 1000. This must have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We were. I got invited to drive a friend's Geyser spec trophy truck. Beautiful carbon fiber Raptor body on this truck, and yeah, sweet. So we go to test it and don't end up getting any seat time at the test. We show up to the race, we do all our pre-running, and okay, me and Aaron are sitting there. Aaron's going to co-drive for me. We went and did all our pre-running. The truck is supposed to arrive at about 11, and the BFG relay, which is sort of one of the race control, they come on and they're like, hey, your truck's broken. We're like, oh, bummer. And so me and Aaron, for those of you that don't know, the Baja 1000, you don't get out to pee. So you just put on what's called a condom catheter, and I'm going to just leave it at that. It's a medical grade device that goes in a place, and you do your thing. So we were all ready to go. So when we were told the truck was done, we we removed said device and went to sleep. 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody comes, bangs on the door of the truck. Sorry, what are we doing? And they wakes up like, truck's here. And I'm like, oh, okay, the chase truck's here. We're going to go fetch the race truck. So I'm moving leisurely. And then you just hear, and look over and we're like, oh, that truck. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Aaron and I went from dead asleep to racing the Baja 1000 in a trophy truck that we'd never driven in about 2 minutes flat. And so we're in the truck, and the guys, it broke, in a silt bed, and they cobbled it back together. They were like, we need power steering fluid. We're like, it's on the back of the truck. And they're like, oh. So they drove it for 40 miles with no power steering fluid. We pour some sauce in the thing. They're like, yeah, good enough. So we get in, take off, and I'm like, you good, man? He's like, yeah, you good? I'm like, I don't know. We were asleep like 18 seconds ago, but let's go. And he's like, brakes work? I'm like, 1, 2, 3. They work after a few pumps. So we're just, we're ripping through Baja. I'm like, truck feels all right. Makes a lot more rattles than the bypass tubes. We start getting some pace. We start peeling trucks off. We start, I think we're passing folks. And I think we're up to 5th at one point from, 8 hours down. And I'm on the comms with Aaron. I'm like, I got to pee. He's like, I got seconds. I'm like, got it. So I'm like, top of the next hill. So we pull up on this big hill and we're ready, man. We pop the belts, we jump out, we unplug our stuff, we get out, and we just start peeing. I'm like, you see anybody? He's like, no. You see anybody? I'm like, no. He's like, sweet. So we start stretching, we're just doing the thing. And we're like, all right, cool. Hop back in, strap up, take off. And we get to the end of our stint. Didn't put a scratch on the truck. We did our part. No. And the team was furious. First, they were like, man, you guys killed it. You guys were doing awesome. Man, you passed everybody. We couldn't even keep up with the chase trucks. And I was like, yeah, we stopped to pee too. And they're like, you did what? I'm sorry, you did what? We're like, well, what do you want me to do? Piss in the seat? They're like, yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry. There's no racing that is fun enough for me to sit in a pool of a grown man's tepid urine. It's just not happening. I love racing, but I don't love racing, sit in another man's pee, love racing. And I would never do that to anybody else. So it just wasn't happening. So anyway, they still haven't forgiven us for stopping to go pee at the Baja 1000.
Oh man. Jeez.
This may be a weird statement, but I've driven many years, and I've never had to use the bathroom in a race car.
Yeah,
I've never even had an urge.
Just reasonable planning. There's ways to get around peeing on yourself. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to not have to pee on yourself and other people. But a few hundred miles and us going from dead asleep, we weren't prepped to go racing. Like, it's not like we woke up and we're like, oh, okay, we're going racing. All right, well, let's go. Do our morning rounds and have a cup of coffee, stretch a little, hop in the truck. It was like, you're awake and you're driving now. Yep. Well, guess that's what's happening.
So how does that work in flying, Rob? Does that turn into engineered weather?
Yeah, exactly. Well, luckily with what I do, I'm only up there 10 to 15 minutes at a time, so I get it pretty easy. I can hold it that long.
Rob, I've seen you fly for 10 or 15 minutes, and I would for sure pee in that 10 or 15 minutes if I was involved in any part of it.
Yeah. All right. Rob, what about any funny stories with the aviation side?
I don't know if I can top that story. that was pretty good.
I'll tell you one about Rob. So I've had the pleasure of flying with him, and the guy flies a plane sideways and upside down better than I can walk. And so we were out in Tennessee a little bit. They were doing some practicing, and we went out and shot something together. And so we were sitting on the runway. We got clear to take off, and I had some camera guys about midway down the runway. And he goes, "What do you want to do? I mean, you want to hit it pretty hard, or like we're rolling this pretty easy?" I was like, "Man, I'm here for a good time, not a long time." He just said, "Copy that." And then so in a little airplane that Rob flies, I mean, you throttle up and it's like kind of off the ground. I mean, so we turn, throttles up, and the second he pulls back on the stick, rolls the airplane upside down. There wasn't enough room. Like the wing must be flexible, like as it folds through the earth. And so we're upside down, dragging the canopy on the ground as we go by the camera. And at this point, up is down, down is up, and it's all messed up. And it's just pinned, and we head off there. And it's flying with Rob is something else. And it's like you really you really get a firsthand experience on how violent, physics can be and how far they can be bent. And so I'll tell you, the guy, I asked him, he asked me, what do you, how hard do you want to hit it? I said, hit as hard as you want, upside down before the airplane. And we weren't moving 9 miles an hour, airplane's upside down, full throttle. And so it was incredible. I had a wonderful time flying with him, and I've seen Rob do things that I didn't know an airplane would do.
That was a good time. I got to tell you, man, you got a lot of patience trying to teach me how to drift your car. It never really stuck with me, so that was a good time.
I mean, I guess I could understand that no one's peeing in the airplane, but puking has to be a possibility. I mean, how many ride-alongs or with in a two-seater have you had? I mean, just.
Luckily, in 20 years of doing this and giving rides and stuff, I've only had about 5 people puke. Then you pick up the signs and you see the sweat going down the back of their neck and the turning green. You kind of know when to stop. But I've had a few people who just kind of snuck up on them, and one instant they were doing great, the next instant there was stuff all over the canopy. So.
Nope.
Yeah. And I'm bulletproof in an airplane, and I don't get sick of motion sickness. But if I smell it, I'm a puker. So
I'm gonna go.
Yeah. I can't even think about it.
Yep. It's a no from me.
Yep.
Aaron, you got some wild stories. Let's hear let's hear some wild stories from either this year or last year.
In 2020, not a whole lot of stuff. I'll tell you, a couple things, not from the most recent time, but like being in the truck with Dave, it's like I've wanted to, and so like Dave made a point about rally driving the 1,000 corners one time, 1,000 corners, and it's like, it's really true. No matter how cliche anyone thinks it is or doesn't want to hear it, it's very true. And it's like in the dirt, every car that goes down the track changes it for the next car. If you're running multiple laps, it changes it for yourself. And so I've always been a big fan of point-to-point racing, where the track is as much your competitor as the guy with another number on his car. And so I've really enjoyed that. And so I've been going to Mexico and working for other teams as long as I could. And I never thought that racing would be something I could participate in. I thought spinning wrenches was the only way in. And then, particularly with Dave's help and some of the great connections I've made in the industry, I've been able to get in quite a few race cars. And so this particular morning, after a very rocky, interesting start to what we thought we had planned for pretty well, there was a moment we're skipping along, and if anyone knows Dave's fast, and so we're cruising along at a pretty good clip, and the sun's coming up over Sea Cortez, and we're ripping along, and it's all happening, and here we are, and in a spec trophy truck, and like we caught each other just the gaze for a moment, and it was like, I don't know how lovey-dovey it is, but the deal was there was nowhere else on this planet that I wanted to be other than in the truck with Dave, just ripping along. And I'll tell you this, and be a little mushy, but it was interesting to see Dave in his element doing his thing, And if anyone knows Dave, he's got a lot of personalities and a lot of impersonations. But Dave's awful good behind the wheel. And I got to experience it firsthand, and I absolutely loved it. We were in Mexico, freezing, sun up, Sea Cortez, just pushing triple digits in a trophy truck. And it was a surreal moment. And then also with Dave's help and help of the industry and the combination of entertainment, I've been able to go do some rally driving. And I've got out of a rally car, and I can't explain it to anyone. I've had a lot of fun on circuits, on road race tracks, but racing in the dirt is something else. Racing a rally car, it's just like, I've never used every tool that I had at the most extreme end of the scale. It was everything I could do to do the best job that I could. And oftentimes when you're in a car it's in different situations, you'll use these set of tools or these set of tools, but the rally car was absolutely everything. And through the industry and people, Dave, and then people like it, and being able to work with Rob and Jack, it's like I've been able to experience aspects of motorsport culture that I never would, and I have nothing negative to say about all of it. I think it helped me become a better person, a more understanding person, every once in a while a bit more responsible, but ultimately it's like I think motorsports is I think it's a wonderful thing that brings us together and allows us to have great big experiences that there is no substitute for. There is no other way to experience these things, and they exist on a higher plane. And I got to experience that with Dave in the truck in Baja. It's like in a rally car in Seattle and many other experiences around the country. And so it's like being able, whether it's just and come from turning wrenches and flipping on a welder to being right seat and being able, and the opportunities that I've had to be left seat in a car, it's like all of this is possible by just chasing what you're passionate about in one industry, you know? And I think that these same kinds of experiences could be had in other industries, but my path's been unique, and I've enjoyed every bit of it, and the people I've met have been nothing less than outstanding, and I don't know that you could say as much about other industries.
No, you're absolutely right, and yeah, and that's the cool part, because no matter who you talk to, as far as from Rob with flying planes, Dave in the rally side, and Aaron behind, I mean, a lot of the wrenching and fabrication and such, it's so cool to see how we all have that same just heated passion for this. And yeah, you don't see it in a lot of other like sports even. But, you know, one thing, putting 2020 in the past, looking forward to 2021 with all the things that have kind of changed. But there's an exciting future here in 2021. What are some big plans that you guys have? Projects, anything that you're working on, Aaron? What do you got?
We're wrapping up a big project now, and we'll get it gone, and then through the rest of 21, to be honest, looking to take on less big projects, more availability to get out and have more experiences in the race car, particularly to be involved with more with new sponsors, to go spend more time around race cars. And the biggest thing is to be able to share this with other people. I'm looking forward to getting back to going to shows, and I love talking to people about their personal projects, their home projects, their racing ambitions. I love increasing my own, my skill set in the car. And so it's continue to grow my skills as a builder, grow my skills as a driver, and get out and see people. You know, it's like I really enjoy being in this community and being around this industry. And so anything I can do to help and be a part of it and just share the experience with other people is what I'm looking for the most. I'll be driving a big truck. I'll be racing a semi-truck this year. I think there's a possibility that I may be racing some SST. I'm going to try and spend some more time, in a car. I'd like to, I won't be racing hill climb this year, looking to race the 100th at running, which is 2022 next year, Pikes Peak. And so just kind of trying to put things together for a great 22. And I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but me personally, I think anything I get done in 21 is gravy. I'm looking forward to building a good platform to do great stuff in 22. And it's like, and let's be honest, financially, that's really kind of one of the biggest stretches. And coming out of 2020, with the one little bit of unknown about 21 is really trying to get things in order to have the best possible outcomes in 22. And I think there's a lot of people that are kind of looking at things that same way.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Rob, what about in your world? 2021, big plans, projects?
Yeah, a couple of projects. I got a two-seat version of my airplane that'll be taking delivery at the end of April and getting it flying. Allowed me to open up doing some sponsor rides, media rides, and getting back to doing hero flights where we take veterans flying just as a way to give back and say thanks for their service. So I'm looking forward to getting that up and going on the road, and I'm just looking forward to doing air shows again, getting out in front of the public and trying to entertain some people.
Yep. Rob, we know we talked about crazy stories, and you didn't have a really crazy one. Can I out you on the incident 2 years ago?
Oh, my engine blew up?
Yeah. How rock and roll was that?
Yeah, that was horrible.
Tell them.
I was leaving Kingsville, Texas. I just did an air show there. I was heading to Louisiana. I was about 11,000 feet. Got this vibration just long enough to look at my instruments, try to figure out what was going on, and there was a big bang. And that was it. Engine quit. The engine actually blew in half. So dead sticked it down. I found a small, what was listed as a private strip to land on, a little private airport, but it turned out it was abandoned. There hadn't been an airplane there since 1999. And it was in Rockport, Texas, which is where Hurricane Harvey hit. And Hurricane Harvey had taken a big piece of roof from somebody's house and stuck it on the runway. And my canopy was all covered with oil. I couldn't see anything. Came in, touched down. I thought it was actually a pretty good landing, but then hit that piece of roof with the landing gear, ripped it off the airplane, and 1,000 feet later skidded to a stop, and that was the end of that airplane.
The thing that
plane did its job. I walked away, but
the thing that I love so much about it is, Rob, this, and also it's like if y'all haven't been at the airplane, from a layman, like I love airplanes, and Rob let me fly his for a minute. It's a nervous airplane, like it's hard to control, and so he goes dead stick, no engine, canopy covered in oil, puts it on the ground in one piece, as he says, maybe a great landing, and then crashes it into somebody's roof on the ground.
Yeah, the roof still had a DirecTV antenna on and everything. It was,
That's great. Dave, what about you?
As of right now, officially, all of the rest of my year is going to be in the gym prepping to ride in the 2-seater with Rob, because that sounds terrifying. Other than that, yeah, we're back in rally cars. So Bucky and I we've got our one lap of America we're doing, a few ARA events, and then honestly for me the biggest joy is like, when we were traveling a lot internationally, going to WRC World Rally Championship events back in 17, 18 a lot. I would come home from every event just so excited to take the things that I saw at those events and build them into our landscape here. We wanted the best of New Zealand and France and Monte Carlo and Australia and all these events we went to. We'd bring them back here and just start moving dirt and build stuff. And to Aaron's point earlier, there's those few moments that we have in racing that are just so magical. And what we get to do here at the ranch is give those to people who aren't ever going to go drive race cars. And so when we host these track days here throughout the year, guys will show up in their Roush Raptors and they'll go drive on our track, and they're getting that same experience because they're getting what is their version of that trophy truck experience. And so what Aaron described earlier, of that moment where we were just totally connected, in that like we just got it. It was like, this is why we've been doing this for so long. And it's so special to get to share that with somebody else in the actual race car, which is what's so unique about rally and off-road. And here, what I'm honestly really stoked about this year is we've just got more opportunities than ever to get more people in our cars and in their trucks and their cars, to enjoy our facility and to build more of that connection. So as excited as I am to go racing, I'm honestly every bit as excited or even more excited for what we're working on here at the ranch. Just putting more people in their vehicles to have that magic experience that normally, it's just the few of us that are fortunate to get to go flying or racing. I'm looking forward to giving that our clients that experience here.
Dave, what's the best way to like find out more information or contact you guys on that?
Yeah, rallyready.com is our website. It's got info on our rally schools, our track days, and then our social media, Rally Ready on Instagram, Facebook, any of those places. Texas_Dave for me, or just send a carrier pigeon. That's fine.
There you go.
We have a lot of bats here though now, so careful.
I'll tell you one thing about last year in 2020 is, if I was completely honest, I've really never felt so isolated my whole life. It's like you see people, but it's like you weren't supposed to have any connectivity with them, And so, for real note, I've never felt so isolated, and I've never been so bothered by it so much. And I had the opportunity from Cole and Life Motorsports to go run the third car on the Sierra car program at Pikes Peak. And, initially I was going to give up the seat, and just because I didn't know how things were going to go, but I talked myself into it. When I went up there, I went to Utah and helped them finish the car, and then we went and we raced. And when I was leaving, headed to our first drift event in St. Louis, it really all settled in. I didn't know how badly I needed that, how much I needed to go up and see the people, see the Hill Climb family, see other race cars, other race car drivers, have those conversations, be in the race car, do that thing, that thing that I kind of look forward to every year. It's like it got taken away, and then we got to put it back on the table, and then I got to go do it. And it's like, we didn't even lose it, but it came so close to it, and everything else was such a problem that one little piece of what I deemed normality was it was such a big deal for me. It would be hard for me to characterize how much it meant to me to be able to go do that, especially when I thought that I had lost it, and then to be able to see everybody, have these conversations, and have this group therapy session on the mountain with race cars. And, it's like I don't expect everyone to understand it, but if you're inclined to play race cars or you're curious about it, I'll tell you, it's special. It's different than what a lot of people, it's not just fuel and tires and go fast. That's a big part of it, but the community that we all share, I think was bigger than I even knew. Despite being in it and being so thrilled to be a part of it, I didn't realize how much it meant to me and how much I needed it to be who I think that I am.
No, you're right. And I think these experiences that are going to happen here in hopefully the near future of getting back together, I think these are going to just be the highs. I think you're right, because you feel that excitement again, able to actually communicate with people and hang out. I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be honest with you. But Jack, we've had a lot of exciting things happen here. 2021 just launched our latest vehicle. A lot of really cool things happening. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your plans and future here?
There's so much going on at RPP right now. My head is still spinning. We got our big new launch, our F-150, 2021 F-150. Really excited about it. It has, I think, the most aggressive look in a vehicle maybe ever. Off-road truck, it's right in line with what you guys are talking about. Believe it or not, a lot of people may think of Roush and think of Mustangs, but we've actually been in off-road for a very long time on the racing side of things. And with the interest in off-road, we're having a lot of fun, and, it's all about, creating stuff that people enjoy. And, I think, it's going to be a really good year for supporting that lifestyle.
No, you're absolutely right. No, I'm super excited to start to see our consumers and automotive enthusiasts start to get behind the wheel of this new Roush truck. Hopefully, they can get over to Dave and really put it to the test there. But
I'm most excited, I think, to officially announce right now that me and Jack and Aaron are going to race in the Baja 1000, and Rob's going to come fly along and film the whole thing. That's a plan that for sure exists.
Chase plane.
That's cool. Glad this is an official press release. So.
Yeah, I just heard about it and I'm excited.
Yeah, same. I actually just got the memo as I said it, but sold.
And Rob's for hire if you want your dish taken off your roof. He'll swing by. Just drop in.
Man, I think some footage from somebody in a plane with Rob chasing a trophy truck down the Baja Peninsula. Yeah, I'm in. Sign me up. Never mind. I take it back. That's what I'm doing this year.
Yeah.
Tell me where. Tell me when.
Yeah, Tyler, did you hear that?
Is there an adult in the room who can make this happen? Do you have an adult?
Who controls budget?
Yeah. What's that? I'd have heard that one. Hang on. Yeah. Hey Siri, what's a budget?
But
I did forget to mention we have our F-150 Superchargers coming out this summer as well. So stay tuned for that. If you like stuff that goes fast, you might not.
Wrong group.
You've got an hour in.
Right.
Yeah, you got an hour in and you just now realize you don't like fast stuff. Well, thank you for staying with us. We have nothing further for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, guys, we really appreciate you hopping on here for our first episode of You Don't Know Jack. What a lineup. Gosh, you guys make me nervous sitting here talking to these big names in motorsports. So
we can spend money quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, the cash evisceration coefficient between this lot of human beings is remarkable.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
We're gonna have to do a recap back. We'll come back around on episode 10. We'll get us all back in the room, see where things are going.
See us all at the homeless camp that Aaron and I are living in.
Yeah. Our
awesome.
leaving seminars under the bridge.
Yeah. No, exactly. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, Dave, Rob, Aaron, and of course, Jack. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on the first episode of You Don't Know Jack. And if you want to listen more, you can download us on your favorite streaming network. So check us out. We'll see you guys.
Adios.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Jack. Well, what a crazy bunch that was. That's pretty cool to get. Especially all the aspects. You have Rob with aerobatic aviation. You have Aaron on just everything, and then Dave, of course, on rally. I think that's an awesome episode to start out on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
But I think, and we probably all feel this way, I think we're all ready to put 2020 behind us and look forward to 2021. And we have a lot of great products coming out, and that we actually just recently released, the brand new 2021 Roush F-150. And I think what's super cool is obviously being able to, the team, we went up there and shot all the release video and hanging out with your dad and talking about obviously we've been involved with off-road for a while since, well, from Roush Performance side since 2013, I think was our first off-road truck. But obviously we've had a lot of tie-ins even before that. But it's like we've conquered asphalt. We've championships after championships, winningest racing team. And then now we're coming for the dirt. And I think this truck, and I'll ask you your opinion too. The first time you saw this Roush F-150, what did you think?
The stance it has, we've never done anything quite like that. It's wider than ever before. Just the presence of it is more intimidating, more aggressive. I think people are going to love it.
Yeah, no, I think that was the first thing that I saw is how aggressive it is, how wide it is, the fender setup on it. I mean, with the new body panels, with the new body lines of the new 21 F-150. I mean, Ford has definitely put a great platform out there for us to build on. But I mean, we absolutely took it to the next level here. So I'm really excited to start to see it hit our dealer lots and get these customers in the seat and really actually enjoy this truck. So maybe once later in the year when the Supercharger comes out, we'll head over to Dave and see him over at Rally Ready and see what that thing's got. But
that'd be awesome.
And then, of course, guys, if you own a Mustang or thinking about in the market to get a Mustang GT or whatnot, we have our Roush Mustang Supercharger Phase 2 kit. And the greatest part about that is really just the powertrain, the cooling package. I mean, you have the diff cooler, you have the trans cooler, auxiliary engine cooler. That sits right behind the front right corner aero pocket. The Supercharger auxiliary cooler, and a 40% larger LTR. And guys, this is both in our vehicles, our Roush Stage 3 vehicle, and also in the retail kit. So if you're looking to add some horsepower, 750 horsepower to be exact, 670 foot-pounds of torque, it's pretty wild what we did with that, Jack. I mean, cooling, and you know this, optimal cooling is extremely important, especially in the racing environment that you grew up in. And then taking it to our car holds some huge advantages. What do you think as far as cooling feature from do you see it on the street, but does it affect it on the street or just really when you go to the track? When do you need that cooling element?
Cooling is, like you said, it's such a big part of performance, especially when you start generating tons of horsepower with a supercharger. Actually, even without a supercharger on a racetrack, it's absolutely critical. You can blow up a motor, you can create less power than you would otherwise without the proper cooling. And at the same time, the more efficient your system is, the more you can block off the inlets and create less drag and create more downforce. So, the system really needs to be top notch. And that's what we've done with this really massively improved cooling system. I think you're going to see it pick up everywhere on a warm summer day. If you have spirited driving on the street, you'll probably be able to tell the difference after a little bit, where normally you might have some fall off from the engine trying to protect itself. And in really aggressive driving, you're absolutely going to see a very significant difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's even cooler is we take it one step farther, and our Stage 3 Mustangs actually have a cool down feature, which you guys will probably see here in the next week or so, actually, on our social media channel on Facebook. But yeah, there's a cool down feature where when your vehicle's on, you can press and hold the brake. While holding the brake, you press and hold the plus set button, which is on the left side of the wheel, for 5 seconds. So brake plus set button for 5 seconds, and the fan will actually kick on and start to pull in cool air and help cool down your vehicle faster as it sits there. So no more lugging around ice bags at the track, laying them over your radiator, trying to get things cool. You just pop on that cool down feature, which is pretty neat. So you guys can check that out on our Roush Performance Facebook page or Instagram. And then one more thing, guys, if you have not checked out my shirt here, we got a new set of gear over at RoushGear.com. bunch of new graphic tees, some really nice polos, great looking gear. So if you guys want to head over to roushgear.com, you can pick up our latest gear. Well, Jack, I think that's a wrap. First episode of You Don't Know Jack, but they're going to get to know you. They're going to get to know the brand, the culture, and some really exciting new stuff. And we're going to be able to give them a glimpse of behind the scenes of really what's goes on here at Roush, which is really cool. I'm excited to do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time.